Books crowd the walls as Dr. Chen sketches a triangle. Story, medium, audience. Mara leans forward, proposing their series as a ritual container. Dr. Chen cautions, containment fails if the audience repeats unmoderated actions. Mara pushes back gently, noting ethics and responsibility to inform. They agree to boundaries, diagrams, disclaimers, and controlled demonstrations only. A long aisle of mismatched mirrors gleams under skylights and buzzing tags. Mara glides past frames, narrating how second-hand glass remembers touch and gaze. At the aisle end, Theo steadies gear, capturing room tone and reflective noise. One mirror shows Theo closer than he stands. Distance compresses as Mara nears. Mara stops. The reflection mouths a silent word as glass breath fogs and fades. A mirrored elevator closes around them, bright and clinically clean. Mara explains a legend mutating to shared spaces and signals. Theo watches the panel. A blink seems to miss in the mirror. Their reflections smear wetly, then snap back in unison. Numbers tick upward. The car feels narrower than before. Haze curls between concrete pillars marked B2. A lone car waits. Mara addresses the lens about the backseat myth and vigilance. Theo mounts a dash cam. Cables snake over the console. Mara demonstrates. Film behind you. Never assume empty means safe. On the feed, the rear headrest seems to rise and fall like breath. High above, traffic threads like luminous arteries through the city. Mara works on a laptop atop the hood, speaking about algorithms. Dr. Chen cautions that rituals and virality now overlap. Mara and Dr. Chen share frame. A distant siren lights the sky. Theo watches the horizon, listening to noise patterns in the wind. A sterile corridor stretches. Motion lights buzz to life ahead. Mara walks, keys ready, lights ignite one step before her. Behind her, a later flare suggests a second set of footsteps. They stop at her door. Theo raises the mic towards silence. Inside, Mara tapes X's over mirrors and powers down devices. Theo runs a noise gate, demonstrating how silence raises the floor. A whisper seems to form. The waveform bulges into 3 breaths. They exchange a look as her phone lights on the table unprompted. Mara outlines the counter-ritual rules in a grimy, cramped restroom. Theo waits outside the stall, boom angled toward Mara's voice. She counts softly 1, 2, and refuses the 3rd step. 3 brittle clicks rattle from the hand dryer without warming. Mara stares into the metal mirror and refuses to say the 3rd name. Neon bleeds across puddles as they step into the dripping alley. Mara admits fear their work might be feeding the thing. Theo shows the spike. Views surge nightly at exactly 3:3. They pass a puddle where their reflections lag, then catch up on 3. On the 3rd step, the alley feels briefly in sync, then rain drowns it. Cold aisles roar while Mara argues against the next upload. Dr. Chen appears on a tablet. Starve the story. Starve the thing. She pivots the tablet. The live feed shows an extra rack. Mara squares to the aisle, gauging what the camera wants her to see. The tablet's glass shows the rack again, perfectly still, waiting. City lights smear as the streetcar glides through wet intersections. Mara frames the hitchhiker update contactless, a ghosted location pin. Theo holds her phone. A rideshare map drops a pin inside the car. The pin travels with them without driver input, unblinking. Mara lowers her camera, as if not to offer the thing another ride. Metal shelves and microfilm readers hum in the dim basement stacks. Dr. Chen reads about blackout rituals multiplying stories in darkness. A margin note repeats the phrase, 3 is the hinge. Mara underlines the note and circles their upload schedule. They trade a look. Research and release rhythms may be the same. Theo sets the analyzer while Mara stays outside the stall, testing the gap. Mara leans into the slit. Theo adjusts gain, listening for the low rumble. The hand dryer bursts to life, obliterating detail as Theo watches the spike. Beneath the noise, a whisper seems to sync with the pulsing fluorescent flicker. Theo signals cut. The dryer winds down, leaving the low peak stubbornly alive. At the platform's far end, Mara frames Dr. Chen as a train wind sifts past. Dr. Chen outlines how mirrors became screens, candles, now strings of LEDs. Mara listens, then glances back. The timetable holds a time that never arrives. A gust bends their coats. Dr. Chen nods toward the screen as if finishing a proof. Mara reframes, centering the still clock, as their breath wisps in 3 beats. Neon streaks the wet windows as Mara films mid-bus, steadying her frame. Theo, 2 rows back, lifts a compact IR camera toward an empty rear seat. On Theo's monitor, a heat bloom forms on the empty seat only there. Mara turns slightly. Theo angles the monitor to share the impossible signature. They hold their positions as the bloom steadies, bright as a seated breath. Glass cases reflect Mara as she steps in. Rain taps on the dark front. A promo video glitches, her face filling a display a beat behind her walk. Theo taps a handset. He murmurs about a feedback loop in digital mirrors. The cascade aligns on 3. Every screen mouths Mara's words in chorus. Mara and Theo exchange a look. The central display lags again, late by 1 beat. In the dim studio, Mara reads live comments as Theo isolates patterns. Mara reads tips about a new rule. The legend knocks via notifications. Theo solos a band. A triple tap pattern hides inside ordinary pings. They trade a look. Mara's phone lights on the desk without a touch. Mara doesn't touch it. Theo's waveform still shows 3 rising breaths. They stage a guerrilla screening under stained concrete to starve attention mid-ritual. Mara outlines the plan. Cut the feed on the 3rd beat. Deny the pattern. Theo hovers at the generator, ready to kill power exactly on beat 3. The generator coughs on its own. 3 abrupt stutters, yet the image refuses to die. Mara and Theo exchange a look as the beam holds, the test already answering back. Emergency LEDs glow as the studio dies. Mara lights a lantern against the dark. She faces the dead camera, declaring refusal. The ritual will not be performed. Theo listens in the shadows, headphones off, the backup recorder quietly rolling. On the screen, 3 rising breaths sketch a word when neither of them speaks. Mara lowers her eyes, lantern shaking slightly as the studio settles around them. Mara peels tape from the mirror, vowing to close the frame without completing it. Theo stays in the doorway behind her, a steady count beginning and then holding. Silence replaces 3. The mirror fogs into 3 petal shapes from no mouth. Mara steadies herself, palm hovering before the glass without touching it. Behind her in reflection, Theo waits, unwilling to complete the 3rd count. Pale dawn spills over rooftops as they face a choice about the final episode. Mara states she will not upload. Theo holds the phone above the delete button. Birdsong rises in a triple motif, a pattern threading the morning stillness. A chime sounds off screen. Nothing is unlocked, yet the decision hangs fragile. Theo steadies his hand. The screen waits, a breath poised between yes and no. Daylight fills the studio. Mara sits calm, ring-eyed, before a powered-down rig. Dr. Chen joins via muted laptop, offering congratulations across the quiet room. A new browser tab opens itself, titled in bold, Mirror Protocol, Final Form. 3 thumbnails begin generating, placeholders pulsing as if breathing in sync. Mara leans forward, daylight steady, as the room awaits her next move. Mara tests her phone's mic as the park hums with uneasy brightness. Her gaze snaps to the kiosk glass. Something there trails her by a beat. Mara leans closer, isolating the reflection as joggers blur past. She checks the waveform on screen, willing it to explain the delay. A stroller squeaks by. In the glass, her double smiles a fraction late. Overcast light flattens the street as Mara frames an empty bench inside the shelter. She points out that everyday spaces sharpen the edge of danger. In the ad panel, a toothpaste model's eyes blink out of sync with the street. Mara recenters the frame, steady hands, inviting danger to define itself. She concludes, when a story lives here, attention becomes the doorway. Soft daylight fills the studio as Mara builds a compact set. Theo arrives with a hard case, setting it down by Mara's foot. Mara pins a card, Creeping Dread, outlining the series frame. They share a quick plan. Legends adapt to an always-on world. Mara squares the lens. The set is ready. The thesis is bolder. Monitors glow in rows as Mara assembles B-roll of crosswalks and elevators. Theo eases infrasound beneath traffic, while Mara layers chilling narration. She whispers a line. Attention may be the doorway we keep open. Elevator footage freezes. For one frame, the mirrored walls look too full. Theo rides the low shelf higher. Mara nods, satisfied and uneasy. Harsh fluorescents buzz as Mara frames a scratched mirror for a staged intro. She says the name once, then stops. The modern variant is the mirror protocol, she explains. Reflections and filters can carry the chant without your mouth. She marks a boundary. She will not finish the chant on camera. In the dead light, the mirror looks almost too patient, as if waiting.